Hello and welcome to Rubbin Minds. My name is Hero Daniels. I'm very excited for today's show because we have an amazing show lined up for you today. As you know, they would say that there is no party like a Lagos party, and with all that is happening in the country today, trust me, we all need that moment to unwind. We all need that moment to go party, celebrate with ourselves, and of course, celebrate with our loved ones. And we're kicking off with some entertainment. As with me in the studio is one man that is known to, he has a specialty in partying. He is a Lagos socialite. Trust me, there is no high-ranking events or top-tier society events that you would not see this man in. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my singular pleasure and honor to, introduce to you Pretty Mike.
Well, I appreciate.
How you doing, sir?
Well, sorry they call me sir. Well, let me just leave it at that. So we'll be thinking that I'm older than you now. You are the older one here, sir. Don't chase away my suitors.
Good to have you on the program. So, a lot is happening in the country. How are you even faring economically? Let's start with that.
Well, I'm just like I've always said to a lot of people, I think everybody's feeling the heat. Nigeria as a whole is a country where you just have to toughen up, harden up, and keep it going. From birth, we're used to feeling the heat. The heat is only getting hotter. But we're doing everything in our capacity to soften it and still keep a sane mind. So yeah, we're pushing it. Okay,
fundamentally, what is a socialite? What does it entail to be a socialite? Demystify this word for us.
That word is a word that I'm sure recently came up. I myself don't even know. But I believe with my lifestyle, it's someone that obviously generates funds from going out, having fun, entertaining people. More so, I'm in the nightclub business, so it's an everyday lifestyle. For me, I'm out every day, 7 days a week, Monday to Monday. I think if you're coming to Lagos or you come to Nigeria and you're looking for someone that can tell you all the happening places and all the places to go and don't go, I think I'm probably one of the best people to, yeah.
That sounds like a lot of money, it sounds like a lot of financial commitment to be able to keep up with, being a socialite. Because for every event, you have to get new outfits. And you're very, very famous for always coming up with a concept anytime you're attending an event. And that concept obviously is cost intensive. How do you put it together?
Well, first of all, it's a hobby for me. So I like it. It's something that I enjoy, something that I sit down, think about, and while I'm sleeping, drinking, eating, I have ideas come into my mind. So it's something I personally enjoy first. Yes, it's gonna be cost intensive because to be able to put together craft, arts, is something, creativity in general is expensive, especially in this day and age of social media. So yeah, I mean.
So where does the money come from?
Well, it comes from also the other businesses that I do, that I don't make public or I don't make known to the social media world, and also from just socializing.
Pretty Mike, there has been a lot of, I'm sure that you enjoy the attention as well, but you've had quite a lot of media attention in recent years. And there's so many narratives about your brand, right? There was this particular time, I think you made an entrance and you had dwarfs inside the cooking pot, and it broke the internet, and everybody was saying that it was pretty fetish. So is there anything fetish or spiritual about some of those entrances that you make at these parties and events?
Life itself is spiritual. Life itself is fetish. So I like people to just, whatever is comfortable with you, I don't try to change the narratives for people. I like it. There's a freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of thinking, freedom of everything. So whatever it is you want to make do of it, as long as you're comfortable with it, that's fine. For me, I know what I'm doing. Is it fetish? No. Is it spiritual? No. For me, it's just fun. But when a society where people are allowed to sum up whatever conclusions they want to do in their head, and regardless of what you tell them, it's not going to change their narratives. So yeah, feel free. I mean, if you want to
Have you ever had a moment where the people that invited you, your hosts, were a bit taken aback by your entrance, or do you pre-inform them that, you know what, I'm coming to your wedding and I'm going to be coming with 20 brides? I think you've done that as well.
Right.
You know, your hosts, have they ever felt some kind of way?
Never. So a lot of people have this misconception that I just go to anybody's event. No. 10 out of 10 events that I go to are my very close, personal, intimate friends. So when I do show up, it's a case of, even if you're not comfortable with it, say, Mike, now my guy, if care is not taken, I might even have to chase you out of your wedding, that kind of thing. So where there's a relationship where, it's Mike, oh my God. So, I've not had anybody that says they're not comfortable with it, or, I mean, I've had, well, I think one of the craziest one for me was Funny Bone's wedding. So Funny was like, Mike, I know you're coming with something crazy, but listen, and funny enough, I don't tell anybody if I'm coming, or I don't tell them if I'm coming with something, but they know I'm invited and I'm coming. Sometimes I just come empty-handed. It's not all the time. This doesn't happen often. So Funny was like, hey, Mike, please don't come with anything that's Jewish. And I didn't even have any concept like that in my head. And boom, I show up with the lady carrying the cross. And of course, he can't chase me out. But after the wedding, he was like, man, didn't I tell you that my mother-in-law is a pastor? I didn't know that, So, but I mean, it's all fun. The good thing is they know my personality, they know my heart, they know that it's just all love and fun, and
Okay. So have you ever felt like people are copying your brand? Have you ever seen anybody try to emulate what you do, and how did that make you feel? Oh,
I have a whole lot of fans all across the world that have, from the UK to the US to even here in Nigeria, that they always tagged me and, oh, this is like, as Pretty Mike is doing it. And yeah, I think it feels good. It's only creativity and art that other people try to copy or try to emulate, or, at least it's a good thing to say that somebody's trying to even do something that you're doing, even with all the negative press you get sometimes. To me, I like it. And I feel the more you try to copy, or you try to emulate, or you try to make it something of yours, the more it makes me go into my thinking chambers and try to outdo myself every time I come out publicly.
Okay, so the last time we had a conversation, if I recall vividly, it was a couple of years back, where we talked about the time you bought a doll. I don't need to specify the kind of doll, but I'm sure the viewers know the kind of doll I'm talking about.
Call her by her name, please.
What?
Amaka is her name.
Amaka, it's an inanimate object, so...
Well, they can all be called names.
Okay. Well, I don't know if let's just call her a doll. Okay. All right? For the purpose of this program, we'll call her a doll. Okay. Right? And you talked about how the doll wouldn't cheat on you and how you've passed through a lot of trauma with women, right, in the past. Right. Where is your love life at right now?
Well, I'm still searching for love. And,
But we see you with multiple women every single now and then.
Yeah. I'm in the business.
How come you've not found a connection with one of those women?
I'm in the business of women, so I've always had women in my life. Even growing up as a kid, I've always been around women. So that is nothing new to me. But I think the most difficult part is finding the connection intimately that will take you for who you are, your personality. And for some reason, I think I know women too much. So whatever moves you make, I can almost counter it or second guess it. So it has made it a little difficult for me to be in a stable, concrete relationship, especially in our environment where everything now is monetized and so it's a tough one. But I'm still waiting upon the Lord. He will surely do it for me.
Okay, okay. You have very strong opinions about certain things in the society. If you
Right.
take, for example, I know you've countlessly written about BBL. What are your thoughts on plastic surgery and women enhancing their bodies?
I think I'm probably one of the first people to call out a lot of female celebrities, years back before even anybody started talking about BBL. And I called them out to say, and I called a lot of them were my friends too. Hey, you did your body. Stop telling people you went to the gym or you're taking some kind of tea. Let some of our young girls know what's going on and how they can better improve themselves. There's nothing wrong with enhancing your body, enhancing your look, enhancing your personality, enhancing your mindset. But let's not deceive people. For me, it was the deceit that I don't like. So yeah, BBL is a good thing. Builds your self-esteem, self-confidence. I mean, there are a lot of controversies around it. Sometimes the medical terminology in terms of people getting different sizes and not being proportionally shaped. And there's a lot of jokes about it. I mean, it's a new thing in the environment. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to take a couple of years before we can perfect it. But I mean, hey.
Do you mind if your significant other does her body?
She is going to do her body after she has kids.
So your future wife will have to undergo surgery?
Oh, she's going to be a body and a Barbie doll. I mean, a lot of people ask me, what's my spec? And I tell them I don't have a spec. And they're like, why? I'm like, because my spec might be this year and next year might be something different. So spec-wise, we can decide to have her big tits, big ass, whatever, and change it up the next year.
Yeah, language.
Right. I thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But man, the society we live in, let's just have fun.
So you're not sort of, I don't know, where do you need to pitch your tent? Because now you're saying that you've been speaking out against people working their bodies and deceiving people that it's all natural.
Right.
So which tent do you belong to? Are you pro body enhancement? Are you pro natural?
I encourage everybody that wants to do their body to do their body.
So you're pro body enhancement. Okay. What are your thoughts on skin bleaching? Because it's a hot topic right now.
If skin, there's nothing wrong with skin bleaching. The question is, a lot of these things, there's nothing wrong with it. The problem with it is when you don't do it the right way. For crying out loud, Michael Jackson bleached his skin. So like other celebrities all across the world. The question is, was it done right? Did you take care of your body properly? It's when you don't take care of your body properly that all these things. So whatever you have to do to your body to make yourself feel good, it's about the self-confidence. That's fine with me. The question is, let's do it right. Let's get it right. Let's educate ourselves and educate others on how these things go.
So is there a right way to bleach your skin?
Sure, there is.
Without any harmful effects?
There is. Like I said, with Janet Jackson bleached, in fact, the whole Jackson family have bleached their skin. Some have gotten it right, some haven't. And one thing about these things, it's a learning process. So there's no school or book that says it has to be done this particular way.
So you're talking about the Jackson family.
I'm hypothetically.
Let's bring it back home.
Okay.
Who would you say just give me a name, somebody that has done a good job with bleaching her or his skin?
Ooh, all our celebrities have toned. And once you've toned your skin color, you've bleached it.
Like?
You've lightened and enhanced it. Let me give you a good name. Somebody that works. Okay. She will not like if I call her name, but this our industry is hard to say that now. You're on the blogs.
Since when did you start playing safe?
No. I would tell people you have to sometimes watch people's emotions. Let's keep it real. We'll have inner emotions and how we feel. It's not about playing safe. It's about doing the right thing. I mean, sometimes I can call out who I want to call out for the right reason. But sometimes keep things personal. There was a show I was watching now. I think AY called out David, and I think that's really going crazy right now on the net. It was a sensitive topic. It could have been something everybody's been joking about, but I don't think it was the right time for him to joke about it.
So you think AY was wrong?
He should have been more sensitive about that joke. It's a sensitive joke that has to do with not just the young guy, his family, his wife, and his kids. It's a sensitive topic. I mean, we did those jokes a couple of years way back with Two-Face. It wasn't as big because the internet wasn't as big, and we got away with it. But now, there are a lot of sensitive things happening out there. We just have to be careful with people's emotions. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, internet, social media have made these things easier and closer to us. Unlike before, where it could be on the tabloid newspapers, a couple of hundred people have seen it. But now we're talking about millions of people seeing it. We're talking about I can say something right now and I can get 10,000 comments on my Instagram page, DM everywhere. You know, so these things are, no matter how tough a skin you have, trust me, if 1,000 people say the same thing to you and curse you out, it will get to you. Yeah. And don't forget, they come from all angles. You block them from Instagram, they're coming on Twitter, they're coming from YouTube, they're coming on Snapchat, they're coming on your WhatsApp. So yeah, it can easily get you. I don't care who you are.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Pretty, as much as I would like to really get back into the topic of what is the right way of bleaching,
skin?
Because at the end of the day, the whole essence of this program is just to educate people. And personally, this is just a personal opinion. I don't think there is a right way to bleach your skin.
There is. So,
because I said, give me an example of somebody.
So why I said there is technology over the years has changed, where we have like glutathiones, things, injections you can take that even bleach you from the inside and not just from the outside. So,
and you're saying there's no harmful effects? There's no long-term effects?
There's nothing in this life that doesn't have a long-term harmful effect if abused. Ordinary Panadol, if you abuse it, it will have an effect. Ordinary Panadol. Ordinary. And it sounds ordinary because it's that ordinary. So whatever you're taking, that's why sometimes the right people have to prescribe. They have to watch your skin. Everything just has to be monitored.
So at what point does it get to abuse? Because if you're having a visible change in your skin, I don't think it's based on little quantities. It's based on consistently applying that particular cream or medication or treatment that eventually takes effect.
Right, but if you decide to abuse it and use it past what... Okay,
so
for example,
let your daughter bleach her skin?
She would definitely tone her skin if that's what she wants. Like I said, if that's what she wants, I'll tell you a perfect example. If we go back to bleaching, I'm sure if we go back to like maybe Lagos Island, where what me and you knew was bleaching back then was old, you're a brown man with black knuckles and, you know, look so ugly, but here's yellow and here. That has changed. Because they were doing it the wrong way, but they liked it. Those things have changed now. You hardly see black knuckles because it's the newer technology. What I'm saying is there are newer technology to all these things. You just have to read about it, know about it, and get to apply it the right way.
Pretty Mike, we still have so much to talk about, but we need to go on a quick break right now. Rubbin Mind continues after this break. Stay with us.
I like the way you move, really wanna get with you. Don't just stand like...
Welcome back. This is Rubbin Minds. Before we went on the break, we were having a very great conversation with Pretty Mike, the king of Nightlife. And we need to continue that conversation because this is a very, very, very sensitive topic that we're talking about, which is the issue of bleaching. And you are saying that if your daughter wants to bleach her skin, that you're going to allow her to bleach her skin. Have you heard of the very dark man? And hey, you know what he's been advocating for?
Well, he's been advocating for if you say something about your product and you can't deliver on it, stop deceiving the public. Or you have it, he'll call you out. I mean, that's what he's been advocating for. For me, there's nothing wrong with what he's doing. A lot of people are saying he's going overboard. I think that happens with fame. Sometimes when you're getting famous and you're getting popular, it might get into your head. It might be getting to his head a little bit, right? He's feeling all too comfortable. But at the end of the day, he has a message, so you can either choose the right side or choose the wrong side, however you want it.
Let's talk about fake life, you know, where people have to fake it till they make it, quote and unquote. We see people on the Snap stories, they're popping bottles. Sometimes they don't pay for those bottles. You are in the nightlife business. You know, do you have such an experience where people have to come, they drink a lot of bottles and they don't pay for it?
I think that's an old topic. When I say it's an old topic, it's a topic that has been with the nightclub business from day one. Even us, the nightclub as owners, we encourage such. We encourage people to come drink and drink and drink. And sometimes they owe and cannot be able to pay. I have a lot of people over the years that are owing, have not been able to pay. Sometimes you just write these debts off instead of keep chasing and keep calling the police, and just try and focus on new clients and new customers and stuff like that. So fake life has been one of the big stigmas in the society.
Yeah. So is there any particular person that's owed you a lot of money over these years?
Wow, there's a long list of them.
The person that's the one that you're just most annoyed about.
Yeah. Not plenty. Yeah, I mean, there are a couple. Not like you might know them. Not that they might be famous, but I mean, within our society, the nightclub society, yeah, these people are known. If I start calling names now, it's not like you might know them.
No, it doesn't matter. We'll find them. And we'll make sure they pay.
And make sure they pay, right? Oh, wow. While you are there, you have to pay. I'll send you his Instagram page. that will work. So at least you know the particular one I'm talking about. Yeah, but there are quite a number of them, people that have been. It's part of the business. It's part of the business.
All right, Pretty Mike. What's next for you? You're still in the nightclub business. You're doing your thing. Right. What's the next big thing for you?
Still going to be the nightclub business. I've divided into real estate a little bit. Plan on having my own TV show, hopefully.
Okay.
A couple of people have been calling for the movies. But I mean, hey, we're just here to keep serving the people, keep socializing, keep putting smiles on faces for those that want to smile, and for those that want to frown, hey, frown all you want to frown. And
in all of this, you didn't mention the deadline that you have to get married, because there is a deadline. You know, I know you too well. That's the thing. No, I'm serious. So are you honoring the deadline? Because the deadline was like 2 years ago.
Wow.
From your people.
Yes. And if me and you have to go into our history, you have always tried to take my girls. So I don't know if you really
National TV, Pretty Mike.
Yeah, but you just put it out there.
I put it out there because, you are one of the most eligible bachelors, and you need to set a good example to, the younger ones. Younger ones like me.
Wow.
So, Pretty Mike, when are you getting married?
Next year.
Next year?
Mm-hmm.
Next year, which month? Because we need to hold you accountable, because that's what you said 2 years ago.
That's between me and my God.
Who is the woman you're getting married to?
I have a couple of people on my list.
Just give me top 3.
Top 3?
Yes.
Nancy Sima is still on my list.
Nancy Sima?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's Nancy for now.
Nancy for now. So you want to get married to Nancy Sima. Do you guys even have an intimate relationship, not to talk of,
I've taken to,
because I know Nancy. I don't think Nancy fancies you.
I've taken her name to the altar. I'm praying about it.
Okay.
Squeeze it to me and we pray about it.
All right. Thank you so very much for coming on the show, Pretty Mike. And I truly do hope that all your dreams come true,
Yeah,
including the Nancy Isime dream. All the very best. Thank you so very much.
I appreciate it.
All right. Now it is time for us to really take a look at some of the top stories that have made it to the news in the past week. I think a particular mention I need to kickstart with. All right, we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, Rubbin Mind continues. Stay with us.
You should cut off all distraction. It's all over now. And just give me some action.
Welcome back. This is Rubbin Minds. Before we went on the break, we had a very exclusive interview with Pretty Mike. It was quite light-hearted and entertaining. And as well, we just sort of discussed very important societal topics like skin bleaching, amongst other things. And right now, we want to talk about our nation, our dear country, Nigeria. Arise, O compatriots. Nigeria calls, obey. It's so easy to obey. It's so easy to be patriotic when the system favors you. But with a dwindling economy, lack of jobs, a very bad healthcare system, just like Chinua Achebe would say, it looks like things are falling apart and the center can no longer hold. And the question on many people's mind is, can Nigeria still succeed? Is there light at the end of the tunnel? How can we get ourselves out of the situation that we've found ourselves in? It's been 6 decades and about 3 years since we got our independence. What do we have to show for it? There's a particular line in our national anthem that says that may the labors of our heroes past not be in vain. The labor of our heroes past, has it been in vain? With me to discuss how Project Nigeria can succeed is an activist and a lawyer, Timi Olagunju. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Hero.
I feel very emotional every single time I talk about this country because it seems like the story never changes from dispensation to dispensation. How can the leaders truly recognize that we are different tribes, different cultures, all living together as one? How can leaders truly prioritize that our uniqueness in our diversity and make it a strength as opposed to making it what divides us?
That's a deep-rooted question. And to give, a straightforward answer is as difficult as the question itself. But I will start with the fact that, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the makeup artists do than put powder, right? And so the foundation of the country itself needs a proper rejig. And when I talk about the foundation, I'm not just talking about the concept of restructuring, the concept of true federalism, fiscal federalism, and all that. I'm also talking of the concept of the foundation of the minds of those who present themselves for leadership. Those who forget history are doomed to repeat same. And so you remember that in 1999, a lot of pro-democratic forces didn't quickly come out to run for political office. In 1999, you had a lot of them overseas enjoying, the grandiose that came with being abroad after all the struggle they've gone through, which is quite befitting. But that very era where you had a lot of pro-democratic forces and a lot of middle-class Nigerians, educated, enlightened Nigerians, refrained from joining the political force itself, created that room for the kind of crop of politicians that we currently have in scale to kind of pervade the environment. And so those crop of politicians are like ants. They've seen that politics itself has a lot of pecs, what I call sugar. When ants see sugar, it gravitates towards it. So they keep, and what you promote is what becomes popular. So there's been a consistent culture of promoting that mindset, foundationally, that politics is for the sake of power to get pecs. And that is what has pervaded the atmosphere. And truly, I tell you, if a nation does not, until one generation masters politics for development, the next generation cannot build innovation at scale.
That is very deep. That is very deep. So where do we go from here? I think you've already established it that the crop of politicians that we have now are the ones that prioritize their personal gains over the people.
Yes, it's clear.
Right? So how can we destroy this foundation and rebuild? And by destroy, I mean this figuratively. I'm talking about the mindset of the people. How can we deal with this ideology?
Your questions are deep today, Hero. Well, the truth about it is culture, not politics, determines the success of any nation. But politics can change a culture and deliver it from itself, right? And so the logic there is this. When you look at biology, for example, during the corona crisis, you see that when they wanted to develop vaccine, they had to extract that virus and then culture that virus and prepare that virus for the human body to fight the anticipated corona attack. And so that same method of nature is what can be applied, where certain persons must be willing to join the political fray and understand how it works, enough not to be violated by it, and enough to understand that the slogan, if you cannot beat them, join them, is false. If you cannot beat them, then find a way to understand how they beat others so you can beat them at it. I think that's the proper thing to do. Because what we see now is that because there's a beehive of people that do not take development at the forefront, when a few people get into the political space, whether as special advisors or ministers, they don't get to do much because the corruption that they are fighting will fight back at them. And so you need a beehive, a larger structure of people that understand the political fray and have an intention to serve based on what I call the law of legacy, which is simple. Those who are faithful over little, let much be delivered unto their hands. We've seen a lot of people that do not fulfill that principle. They've not been faithful over the little, or we've not even seen them serve in little, but we've placed big things into their hands. How do they deliver? Nemo that quod non albeit. You cannot give what you do not have.
Okay, just so that this is as clear as possible, because sometimes when we are all carried away, certain things come off as ambiguous, right? You did make a point where you said that there have been some people that got into the government with good intentions, but eventually they had to join the system. I don't know. Can you give us an example?
Hero, you're putting me in a very, very tight corner. You and I know. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't you and have I to know be, the examples.
It doesn't have to be the present government. It doesn't have to be officials in the present government.
You and I have examples. People like Mama Obi apparently had very good intentions, but came to realize some weeks ago, she said it herself, that, they were acting as technocrats in government rather than stay in government to understand the political fray. Because when you're in politics, it is not just about governance, it's also about politics, human interests, the psychology of being. And so it's very important to understand that fray. But I think that going forward, we have people like Oweke Jr., who, sound people, who get almost swallowed by the system and almost give up. But for the consistency to push off, that's what it is. However, what I think institutions that promote democracy do, because democracy cannot bat good governance on its own. Democracy must have frameworks that builds generation politically to deliver good governance. And look at countries like Singapore, the United States. They have a fellowship internship program that is sponsored by the states, whether at the local level, that's the county level, whether at the state level, whether at the federal level. How many people have been privileged to even understand the workings of the National Assembly as young people, even the workings of Aso Rock? How many people have a 3D picture of what the Aso Rock looks like? Right? I think that's an idea the current administration to take into cognizance, because do a 3D simulation of Aso Rock. Let people have that experience of Aso Rock. That's how it starts. When you start to open the physical structures of governance to young people that are distinguished across communities in Nigeria, you create a National Assembly Fellowship Program, you create an House of Assembly Fellowship Program, you create a Governorship Fellowship Program, you create a Local Government Fellowship or Internship Program. 3 months, based on merit, handled by the private sector, select distinguished young people that have done so well for themselves, and then bring them into understanding the governance structure. I'm a beneficiary of one, which was organized in the US for a program I did in Nigeria. In 2015, I became a Mandela Washington Fellowship under a program created by President Barack Obama. for work I was doing in Nigeria. What was the work I was doing? I started in Oyo State then, Youth in Motion. And what we did was simple. We looked for primary schools, secondary schools. I'm a product of public secondary school.
Yeah.
So we take public secondary schools kids and take them to the House of Assembly or your states to observe parliamentary sittings. Interestingly, the tremendous effect has been superb. Sometimes, you know, when I go to Ibadan, I'm walking around and some kids will just come to meet me and say, Mr. Olagunju, the program that you created, that you do, had tremendously transformed the way I think.
Yeah.
And so what we need to do is to ensure that their fundings, the current budget, the next budget for 2024 should incorporate bonding. This is a challenge to the National Assembly. To incorporate fundings that creates fellowships and internship program for distinguished young people to understand the governance process and also be able to add value. Because there's a disconnect between the young people and the current structure of politicians. And it's wrong.
And it's also very sad that even the educational system, it's not being prioritized in that regard, you know, in terms of enlightening the young people about what's the Nigerian dream should be. You know, if you go to America, you see young people say, oh, God bless America. How many people wake up in the country and say, God bless Nigeria?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, we're going to get back to that, but I also need us to talk about something really important, which is one of the biggest barriers that we have in this country, religion. We seem to be divided amongst religious line. How can we make that particular line almost inexistent?
Hero, they say you come today. I saw the way you were asking these pretty my questions, deep questions. You know, in line with that question, religion is a very deep-rooted thing. But I just want to take us back to a book written by a political scientist called Eke. He talked about something called the two publics. And he talked about the primordial publics, that's religion, sentiment, ethnicity. Now my papa, compound, the bonam, now my brother, now my sister, now my village man, you know, primordial publics. Now the same church where they go, now the same mosque where they worship. You know, primordial publics. And then civic publics. That's the national interest. He now said societies that would ever develop are societies that have taken on much more a higher ranking of civic public against primordial public. So a society where you see a lot of primordial, for instance, Americans, irrespective of religion or whatsoever, when it comes to America, everybody shouts, oh, one America. You know, irrespective of political interest, whether Republicans or Democrats.
Yeah.
You know, so it's quite interesting in that sense. And that is it. For a country like Nigeria, for us to ensure that we drive development, it's not just about economics and all that. It's also about culture. Culture is the way of life of the people. Does our culture nuances and mindset promote civic public against primordial public? That's the core thing. And the way to promote that is as simple as ABC. Societies that were born to be developed today and are developing, they were not just born, you know, with civic public. There are certain things they do. One, what you promote is what becomes popular. And the best time to promote those kind of things, from what we've understood in Youth in Motion and with some of the projects we've done, is when they are children. When you are children, you start putting it in their minds. The Greek did it. They started creating fictitious stories of heroes that made the Greek people feel like, oh, they were above other people in that sense. And that, you know, Athens was, you know, the beacon of civilization. They created those stories. Some of us started learning those stories. So those who forget history are doomed to repeat same. I think it's important that we start from restoring history significantly into our curriculum at primary schools. First. Second, ensure that the kind of civic education that we do is not the civic education that we just, you know, do civic social studies in class, but the civic education where the Ministry of Education mandates and the National Orientation Agency mandates that children are also taken to places of governance. governor's office, House of Assembly to observe parliamentary sittings, and things of that nature, which does a certain thing in their mind, it starts to reorientate them towards the reality that there's a connection between governance and their livelihood. So we have to start early on, otherwise we are just joking. Otherwise, we keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over again over the next 100 years.
Now let's get to the streets. And the reason why I said let's get to the streets is, by the streets I refer to the common man. The common man is so uninspired. Right now, the common man is so unpatriotic. How can we inspire patriotism again? How?
It's quite understandable when people are uninspired. Because I would also ask myself, am I really even inspired? Some of us are so Nigerian that anywhere we travel to, we carry Nigeria on our head. Only just, for us not to change our surname to Nigeria. So, but the interesting thing is that, are we inspired at this time? You can see my outfit. It has everything Nigerian in it. But are we so inspired at this time? The answer is no. I saw a recent research that was released that said Nigerians are somewhat the happiest people. That research needs to be looked into. But I think the perspective of that research might have been that people are content. Nigerians are largely teachable people, right? So, that being said, indeed, there is call for being uninspired. And it's simple. When you look at it, Maslow's hierarchy of need, what is the state of feeding for Nigerians? What is the state of shelter for Nigerians? What is the state of clothing for Nigerians? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, let's not even go into other psychological and other needs that are met, which makes a lot of people to jackpot because people feel that they can do much more, but there's no industrial environment to do much more. The culture, for example, is a culture of servitude. I wonder what the Ministry of Labor is doing about how businesses treat staff. That's also a key part of it because people spend a large part of their lives in offices. So there should be, a certain serenity, sanity in the workplace to ensure productivity. Have you discovered that countries with the greatest innovation, Scandinavian countries, Sweden, name those countries, have discovered that it is not how much you work that makes people productive. They actually have a work strategy of 4 days per week. Countries like Sweden, countries like Finland, some of the most innovative countries in the world, they have a culture of 4 days work per week and 6 hours, 7 hours work per day.
Over here is almost 12 hours, 7 days, 6 days. Because
you can't build innovation. And the great Howell made mention of something. When it comes to innovation, I read somewhere where he talked about, that's Obafemi Awolowo, the late Chief Obafemi. Very fantastic point, but people don't look at it. Nutrition, for example, right? He connected the capacity for people to take a certain calorie daily and how that helps them to be more innovative. Such that if the country can create a policy that ensures that certain calories are taken of protein per day by citizens, particularly by children in school, where it's easily enforceable, what then happens is that it increases the capacity for innovation because when a certain level of protein is not available in the body, it also has a way of inhibiting your capacity to think creatively. As simple as that is, but most people would not read things like that to understand. That's why I said that our leaders are prepared to eat and eat and eat. They are not prepared for legacy. They are not prepared for the reality that 50, 100 years from now, will their names be mentioned for good? Or will their names not even be mentioned at all? Or will their names be mentioned for evil? Legacy. We don't have that culture. When you ask an average primary or secondary school kid, while they want to go into politics, they tell you the reason why. What you promote is what becomes popular. So the basic hierarchy of needs, and let me thank God President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is president. And I'm going to put it to him, simple. I remembered in 2004, 2005, he visited University of Ibadan. I was at the Faculty of Law, University of Ibadan. That's over how many years ago? 2004, 2005. And he made mention of something at the lecture he delivered, that development is when the market woman on the streets is happy that she has food on her table, shelter over her roof, and clothing to wear. When you don't need big grammar to know whether there's development or not. Just go and ask the average Nigerian, in quotes, the market woman and the likes, right? And they will tell you whether there is progress or not. I challenge Mr. President to take on that mantle of going to ask the market women on the street. He might do a disguise and ask whether his policies have brought in development or hardship to Nigerians, so that his advisors do not keep praising him as sycophant and scalawants. And that's the challenge with the Nigerian states. People not speaking truth to power. People acting as sycophants and scalawants because of their personal advantages, still personal interests. That's the culture. But that was not the culture pre-colonialism.
So you're saying that Nigeria is not better off pre-colonial time than it is now?
Well, in certain stances, you and I know, Hero, that the village life where, you tap palm wine with your chest beer open, sort of provided them some comfort. And some of them lived really long. What is the average age of the Nigerian now? The average age of a Nigerian, you'll be shocked that the average age of someone in Niger Republic is actually higher than the average life expectancy of a Nigerian. That shocked you. That's the reality.
Why is that?
A couple of factors, basic needs. Then also, I think there's something we need to address in the health challenge, which I think the Ministry of Health needs to take cognizance of. And I remembered watching the interview where the Minister for State for Health mentioned that he's going to do an active effort at ensuring that NAFDAC does a very serious regulatory work. There's a lot of fake drug going. You, my brother, can count how many people are taking fake malaria drugs that had caused their demise. We need to work towards ensuring that the life of Nigerian matters. It's not everything that should be imported. Just free flow. It's human life. Nobody is Mario in Nigeria that has 7 lives. Neither are we Luigi. It's just one life. We need to take it seriously.
That is absolutely true. So I'll just allow you to make a closing statement on how projects in Nigeria can truly work.
You see, Project Nigeria first. Many people will argue with you, is there really a Project Nigeria? I think that the foundations of equity and justice must prevail for there to be a common goal. When you have a society where injustice is perceivably seen to have been done. In other words, justice must not just be done, but must be evidently seen to be done by everyone. A society where there's a lack of justice, there seems to be some level of marginalization. That society, firstly, cannot have what we call a project. So Project Nigeria can only work when Nigerians, whether Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, I'm Yoruba, but sometimes people think I'm Igbo. It tells you that we're already intertwined. Ibibio, right? Kanuri, and everyone sees a sense of justice and equality in the system, whether in terms of appointments, whether in terms of distribution of a common resource and welfare of the Nigerian people. That's it. And I think one of the key things is this. God himself, I think our Nigerian government needs to learn from God. God himself delegates. You see this current structure where the president is all-knowing and is in charge of so many things. We need to dismantle that structure in a way that we restructure Nigeria. And the states and local government can serve the people better than they are currently doing.
All
That's
right.
what I think.
Thank you so very much, Timmy, for coming on the program.
Thank you, Iro.
I am truly inspired by your words, and I'm sure that millions of people watching are also inspired.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
end this program with this. Nigeria is our country. We do not have any other country to call our own. And I have seen the power of coming together. We've done it with music. You know, when you listen to music, nobody is saying this is Yoruba music or this is Igbo music or this is Hausa music. We are all chanting for our representatives, the top three, Burna Boy, Wizkid, Davido, irrespective of where they come from. I've seen the power of unity, and I truly believe that this nation can still come together, irrespective of the people that are in power, because power truly belongs to the people. So, once the people wake up, I believe that everything that we've ever dreamed of will come to pass. I'll see you next week.
Give me some reaction. I just wanna know you.